Welcome to the No Name MMA Show.
Welcome back to the best damn MMA podcast you've never heard of, the No Name MMA Show. My name is Motivated Andy. Thank you for joining me on this Wednesday, November 9th. A week has already gone into November, and we have one of the most stacked, just absolutely stacked from the beginning fight of the whole prelim to the main event. It's going to be crazy. But before we get into what it even is, let's talk about what I did this past weekend. We checked out a friend of the family, and I mean, if you're into shocking stuff and you don't know any of the story, I recommend you go see it. Uh, do the free trial for Peacock because it's worth it. Genuinely, the last time I was like this was the Red Wedding for Game of Thrones. So yeah, it's just this guy who makes his way into this family. It's in the 1970s, very conservative Iowa, and yeah, he just is grooming this person's like daughter to marry her. It's insane. Um, I've never felt so much just like wow, you kind of deserve it at this point, and then just like the utter shock of how evil a person can straight up be. But yeah, other than that, not really doing much else this week. I've been working from the office, so it's weird. It's kind of the transition of the end. So we only go in one time a quarter, but it's like the first time you go in, the first day or whatever, you're kind of like feeling fine, and the second day you're like, oh okay. The newness and the exciting fact, like you still have to work, so it's like okay, whatever. And then finally the third day, it's like, oh, like I'm done with this. So it's coming to an end. Tomorrow will be the last day of the quarter, and yeah, be pretty dope. But yeah, that's it. But I do have one of the greatest things to look forward to this weekend, UFC 281. But now we get into the MMA minute. So first, Cain Velasquez, free, finally. After 254 days in jail, he was released on $1 million bail and is able to see his family until he is due back in court November 21st. Kane, if you did not remember, was arrested February 28th after he allegedly chased Harry Goularte in his car and shot a handgun at him multiple times while driving. He hit Goularte's stepfather and his Goularte's sister or stepsister. Sorry, I don't know. Was in the vehicle as well. Goularte has been accused of molesting one of Velasquez's relatives. Um, yeah, happy for everybody that I mean they got a new judge and the judge saw it. You know, kind of how it is. Kane was an exemplary person, kind of in every way. I mean, in terms of like the people that he interacted with, the community, his friends, family, nothing but good things. It wasn't a case of CTE. It was just extreme circumstances and duress, and sometimes the best of us fail. And yeah, I'm not condoning what he did. I think I don't know. But I can't also judge. Like, I don't know what I would be doing in that position either. So I don't know. Just glad he gets to see his family for a little bit. He's still looking at, I think, like 10 charges. So yeah, and one of those is like attempted murder. So I don't know. Good on Kane though. One person that's not going to be fighting anytime soon is going to be Dan Hardy versus Diego Sanchez. That bout has been canceled according to Hardy. Apparently, something fell through, and then a bunch of fights just kind of got canceled. He is saying now that he is unsure about a future comeback, which is fair. I mean, if I was going to ever fight, I would fight Diego Sanchez. So maybe Dan Hardy's more realistic than we thought. Um, One person again that will not be fighting is Shane Burgos. He is out against Marlon Moraes in his PFL. I'm sorry, in his PFL Tony's all over me. In his PFL debut, which was supposed to take place November 28th, if I'm remembering correct. Real tough L. I mean, even then, the pay per view, he wasn't on it. He was on the prelims, so I guess it's not the worst. However, it's just like, damn, like, like you're probably paying this dude money too. So it's just a tough out, and just that investment by them again. It's just the PFL is not catching any kind of breaks. They had a tough go with Rory McDonald. They're having a tough go with Anthony Pettis and all the injuries. If your main superstar is just Kayla Harrison, I mean, I don't know. I feel like there should be more to do than just that. But yeah, as first reported by ESPN, U.S. Integrity, a company that identifies suspicious behavior by analyzing changes in betting data against a benchmark of normal betting activity, has started looking into the odds of the fight, which saw Derek Minor balloon from a plus 170 underdog at opening to a plus 330 underdog by the time the action had started. So, yeah, apparently, like there's a lot of people that are looking into a lot of betting. Not now with the rise of digital betting and everything. So this company just reports to like the Nevada State Athletic Betting Committee, and what they do is just make sure that everybody's on the level. But they just send a report. Like they can't sanction you or do whatever. They can't stop you from doing anything. So yeah, and they just reported this that it was very suspicious. So the UFC is looking into it, trying to make sure like something happened. It was just like an influx of bets out of nowhere that caused that spike, and it's very suspicious, especially if after it was one kick. So yeah, we'll see what happens. This is very curious that it happens right after the UFC announces that fighters can no longer bet on their own fights. So yeah, I don't know, but that is it because we need to get into everything for UFC 281. It is a stat card. I do want to hit on everything that I am looking forward to, but first we will get into the main topics, which are the last three fights. So first, we have Michael Chandler facing off against Dustin Poirier in what seems to be a classic in the making. Michael Chandler got dogged, walked by Justin Gaethje in the last appearance at MSG. Both fighters are 3-2 going into this. Dustin Poirier, his last fight, coming off of a loss to Charles Oliveira, and Dustin Poirier, well, we know what happened there. Anyway, in terms of the fight itself, I don't know. I think this is a very similar fight. I think just like with Tony, Michael Chandler is very similar in ways to Dustin Poirier. He likes to come out fast, strong, striking heavy. Michael Chandler does have more wrestling, but I don't know if he'll go to wrestling right away or if it'll be like I'm gonna strike, 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 and if it doesn't go my way, I'll go to wrestling. I don't think he'll go resort to it right away. I think it's a old MMA trope that is just like, oh, if you're a better wrestler, like you're gonna start wrestling right away. Just like Don Cerrone against Conor McGregor. Like, yeah, you have crazy. You gotta still land the takedown. If you can't, um, you know that's it. That's the end of the takedown, and that's the energy that you're using up. Now, if he gets on the ground, does Dustin Poirier respect his own jiu-jitsu enough to not do what he did against Charles Oliveira? Will he be offensive? I don't know. I just find it very curious. I think that if it's a battle of chins, if it's gonna be a brawl, more likely than not, it'll be Michael Chandler that fails. I think his chin out of both is the more suspect one, especially considering all the wars that Dustin Poirier has been in, and it hasn't been, like crazy, crazy hurt bad. I think the last time I saw him have a round where I was kind of like, damn, was Dan Hooker. But if we're going to be playing MMA math, Michael Chandler knocks out Dan Hooker in the first. Meanwhile, Dustin Poirier goes on a 25-minute rampage. Michael Chandler knocks out Tony, the unknockable man. Dustin Poirier, I don't know, has a crazy war against a 145er in Max Holloway that makes a 155 debut to win his interim title shot. Like, I don't know, like who's more legit? I mean, I gotta be Dustin Poirier, but Michael Chandler is not fucking around. And he is dead serious. Like, he's okay with throwing his body through the ringer because he just loves it. Meanwhile, Dustin Poirier is talking about retirement every other fight, if not every fight. So, who am I rooting for? Who do I want to win? Michael Chandler for the chaos. Just because why not? Fuck it. It's like a team that beats your team in the playoffs and wins the Super Bowl. Like, yeah, because they were that good, you know? Like, he already knocked out Tony. Like, fuck it. I wish nothing but the best for Michael Chandler moving forward. Um, do I care? I don't care about either one. Like the other notable thing is like they're not gonna be fighting for a title. Like, how many title shots do you give Dustin Poirier? How many title shots do you give Michael Chandler before you give it to Beneil Dariush? Before you give it, I mean, you're gonna get another 145er that's gonna be going up before Beneil Dariush. So it's yeah, I just uh Michael Chandler. Maybe he gets a fight with Conor, and then maybe he gets a title shot. Who knows? But yeah, so let's move on. I got Michael Chandler in that one via KO. I don't know what round. I'll make it spicy second round. Anyway, moving on now for the co-main event of the evening. We first have the first of two title shots, or I'm sorry, title matches. One Brendan Chavezism, going down between Carlos Barza and Zhang Weili Zhang, where it seems that everyone has Zhang Weili from what I'm seeing. I mean, she's a favorite. I've been seeing, side by sides of striking by both of them. And of course, Zhang Weili is going to look more impressive. I think she's very clearly the more well rounded MMA fighter. But Carlos Barza's wrestling is, she beat undefeated Yan Xiaonan. She wasn't supposed to win that fight. The last loss she has on record is Suarez, but Suarez, for whatever reason, still hasn't come back. I don't know if she got re injured again or re injured again, but damn, like that's crazy that it was 6 fights ago that she lost to. I'm forgetting her first name, but Suarez. Anyway, um, yeah, I think it would be very easy to dismiss Carlos Barza in this fight, especially considering how crazy Zhang Weili is. In my opinion, I think both of their wrestling, in terms of just statistical appearances, like they both have the same defending rate. They both shoot the same amount of times. The real difference is the striking. And I think that if Carlos Barza is gonna have an effective fight plan and try, like if she's gonna win, she's gonna do wrestling from the get go and not give Zhang Weili any chance of going off with her hands or her kicks or anything. And if I'm Zhang Weili, I'm rushing and just throwing my fist at Carlos Barza every second of the whole fight. I'm just smothering her with activity. I'm not letting her set up her shots. I'm denying everything. And I'm just going to make her pay for that Rose fight. Somebody has to, and Zhang Weili, I think, is going to do it there. But I also would not be surprised if Carlos Barza goes out there and puts on a wrestling clinic. I mean, it's different. I just don't know if it's good enough to just shut down Zhang Weili and her activity. I think she's just too good. And I'm not saying that Carla isn't. She clearly is good enough. It's just I don't know. I've seen more. She's too fucking insane. I cannot go for her. This isn't Florida. This is New York. Yeah. So now this will make a clusterfuck up at the top if Zhang Weili wins because she has 2 losses to the former title challenger in Rose Namajuanas. So that's dope. But yeah. And last but not least, we have the guy who only has 7 pro MMA fights. And he is going to fight the best 185er that the UFC has. And in normal circumstances, if you heard that sentence, you would be like, why is this guy with 7 fights fighting the best 185er in the world and the best organization in terms of combat sports? Correct? But what if I told you that the guy that only had 7 pro fights had 2 previous wins, but not in MMA, against that one dude? And what if I upped the ante and said that one of those was a knockout? Does it change your mind? Do you go, maybe, I don't know? And that's completely taking any of the bias that you might have beforehand. How crazy this is that Alex Pereira is challenging for the 185 belt against Israel Adesanya. A trilogy, but not really because this is only MMA and they fought twice in kickboxing. I don't know how this one goes. So, the reason why is because despite all the clout that Alex Pereira's knockout and the win, which if you saw the fight, it could that win for Alex could have gone either way. I, it's too close to call for me, so it's one of those like either or, like it makes sense. However, there's just a lot of rules that kickboxing, like you can't hit a down opponent. Clinching, you're not really clinching like that unless it's Muay Thai. Um, it's just there's too many variables. This also happened a long ass time ago, and yeah, it was 2 wins, but it's a different ball game, and Izzy has at least triple the experience that you have. Not to mention that experience against high level wrestlers. Like he faced Eric Brunson and beats him up. So at least on that front, he's seen those looks. So it's not like Alex Pereira is going to come out here and show him something that he hasn't seen before. But what he has shown him before has knocked him the fuck out. So I I think that in any particular situation, defense always wins. I mean, football, basketball, like if you play good defense, it doesn't matter. Like you can block off most of the stuff. So Izzy should win. However, I think Alex has his number. I think Alex. I don't know how he does in retaining the belt and defending it. I just do think that he might have Alex's or Izzy's number. I think that he goes out there and he knocks him out. Now, how likely is that? I'm not gonna put my fucking life on it. I will be watching very very closely to seeing some of those left hands that Alex Pereira is known for, and seeing how Izzy reacts and how he sees those looks and what he does, because everybody's gonna know what's coming. I mean, Sean Strickland knew what was coming. Also, I mean, Sean Strickland isn't the brightest bulb, but we all knew what was coming. If you know enough about Alex Pereira and his left, you knew. You kind of knew. Izzy knows for sure. There was that one guy that Alex Pereira fought before the UFC. He knows he was knocked out for like 4 minutes. So I think it's just a very slippery slope for Izzy. I think I don't know. It's weird. I always hear fighters making plans about stuff that they plan on doing, either with fighting or like after or whatever, and just the plans and the ambition. And in normal circumstances for anybody else, I'd be like, yeah, like good, you have a plan, you have whatever. And I think like as a fight fan, I've just well, not noticed, but just if you pay attention enough, usually people that mention things outside of their opponent typically they don't do. But also, I mean, for example, Israel Adesanya, while he was trying to fight John Blachowicz for the 205 belt, he was talking about like, oh, this and that. John Jones never did it. John blah 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 blah, and it just reeked of like, why are we talking about these other things? I get it. I understand. You got to put yourself in the picture. You got to make an effort to sell that to people. It's just, I mean, it's fake. It's like processed cheese. And Izzy's like, I don't know. It's just try hard behavior, and it's understanding one thing, like vouching for it or backing it. No, no. But we'll see. I mean, this Saturday will answer the question of Israel Adesanya being the best 185er in the world. Because if he beats Alex Pereira, that's it. I mean, what the fuck else is he gonna do? He's gotta go to 205. I mean, what, you just gonna keep on? Like, how many motherfuckers does he have to beat twice now? Like, he's gonna end up in a quadrilogy against Rob somehow with a 3-0 record against him or something. Unless Rob beats him the third time around, because Rob's not gonna be going anywhere. So, but then if Alex Pereira wins, I mean, it opens up everything. Because that would be a tetralogy between him and Alex, just not in the same sport. It'll be the sequel, but damn. So they would be maybe the first fighters to face themselves, or has there been other fighters that have faced off against each other 5 times? Now I want to know. But yeah, whoever wins, I hope it's Alex for the organization's sake. Not saying that Izzy isn't a draw. Not saying that he's not entertaining. I mean, he's annoying to me, but he's a good fucking fighter. I mean, it is what it is. Like, he's boring, but he's a good fucking fighter. So yeah, on to the fucking pay per view. So first we have Carl Orberg opening it up at light heavyweight. Uh, he's going up against Nikolai Nurmagomedov. Carl Ulberg can be really good, but he gasses out and he's overconfident in his strikes. But yeah, Julio Arce against Montel Jackson. I think Montel Jackson's dope. I think, if I'm thinking of the right person, Michael Trezano against Stogu Choi. Karolina Kokewicz, she's coming back after her first win against Silvana Gomez Juarez, so that should be fun. Otman Ottoman Azaitir, the guy with the potato at UFC Fight Island 1 that got kicked out after climbing down the side of the hotel, claiming that he had a potato in his suitcase, which I don't know what the fuck happened. But yeah, that's going to be on this card. We also have Andre Petroski against Wellington Turman. Aaron Blanchfield against Molly McCann. Molly Meatball making way back without Pay the Baddie. So that'll be interesting to see what goes down on that. Maybe the lights are too bright for her without Patty and not in England. So Dominic Reyes, another person making a comeback against Ryan Spann in a very, very interesting fucking lightweight match. I mean, all of these have something to go off of. But very quickly, I'll have Dominic Reyes in that one, even though Ryan Spann is a fucking monster. I think I have Aaron Blanchfield against Molly McCann just because I'm a hater. Andre Protoski, his wrestling is dope. Wish he could, just polish it up a little bit more. Matt Frivola against Otman Isitir. Hey, he's been gone for a long ass time, so I got Otman in that one. Karolina Kokewicz, she is a sweetheart, and yeah, everybody else I don't know. Carl Soderberg, I guess I think his name is easier to pronounce, so I got him. So yeah, the main fight for the prelims, we have Brad Riddell against Renato Moicano, and Renato Moicano is a big motherfucker for lightweight. I saw him live, and that guy is massive. Holy shit. Yeah, I don't know. Brad Riddell, his chin has been sussy lately. I don't know. I don't know. All those people from Australia, just some of those chins, I'm just like, damn, you guys are going way too hard in sparring. But yeah, I got Renato. I think Brad Riddell has a better skill set. That chin, it's starting to worry me a little bit. But yeah, moving on to the main card. Dan Hooker against Claudio Puelles. Puelles submitted Clay Guida, and then we have Dan Hooker, who, I mean, he's what, 1-4 in his last 5. So yeah, I don't know. Dan Hooker's just a fucking boss. Claudio Puelles, he hasn't had quite the high caliber experience that Dan Hooker has. I mean, look at who he's looking to fight. The current champion in Islam Makhachev. Dustin Poirier, the former interim lightweight champion. Michael Chandler fought for the championship. I know I'm forgetting another one, but I mean that's what I'm saying. Like Dan Hooker fights whoever, whenever, and it's bit him in the ass. It's that Tony factor where, of course, you're just gonna be losing these fights, dude. Like you need a good camp, you need a good game plan, and you're not doing either one of those. Not to mention you're doing extra shit on top. Um, I'm hoping for Dan Hooker. I really want City Kickboxing to kind of make a run through the whole thing, and then for Izzy to just fail them all at the end. That would be dope. But yeah, I want Dan the Hangman to win there. Then we have Frankie Edward against Chris Gutierrez, a former No Name of the Week. I want Frankie Edward to win this one. I mean, homecoming last fight. I hope he gets to 8 hours of octagon time. That is fucking crazy. He's only like I think still 6 minutes or something away. But Chris Gutierrez is a fucking bad motherfucker, and his kicks are insane. And this is the one moment that he has to make a name for himself in the bantamweight division because, I mean, he's just a tough fight with no name, and that's everybody in the bantamweight division. So I'm pulling for Frankie just because I had an interview lined up with Chris Gutierrez. He was actually going to be the first interview for the No Name MMA show, like way, way, way back. And yeah, he pulled out. So yeah, for that, fuck you, go Frankie. I don't care if you're a No Name of the Week. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. So yeah, that is UFC 281, and if I can say so, that is the best preview show I've ever done by myself. Thank you for joining me. I would love to talk shit with you, hear your thoughts, etc. Are my takes terrible? Am I blowing smoke up everybody's ass? Is UFC 281 not stacked? You would be wrong, and I mean, what the fuck? But yeah, hit me up on TikTok at no.name.mma show, on Instagram at no.name.mma show, on YouTube. Follow me there. I make videos sometimes, like sometimes. No Name MMA show. And yeah, talk at you guys next week. We're back on schedule a little bit. It's a little bit later, but it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Investing your mental health. As always, fuck you, John Jones. And yeah, later, guys. Have a good one. Bye bye.
I know what he calls you. Call me a fatherless bastard, dude.